welcome back. My shoutouts don't really mean much. I guess they're not really shoutouts, but I just want to acknowledge people who comment and are nice. I got a comment yesterday that was really nice. It's actually 2 comments. Pink Wave Gamer. And they were commenting about like God and stuff. I'm like, that's so cool. People are like being thoughtful and having interesting things to say, and it's very flattering. That's what I said in the comment. Like, it's flattering when I get comments like that, that people, that my videos can like evoke like a nice response, like, oh, this is what I think about the meaning of life and God. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy that my videos can like get that out of people and have them say what they think and their experiences with things, and that's pretty cool. But yeah, it's not really a shout out, just like, hey, that was cool. They're probably not watching anymore, but that's fine. If they just check in for a video or 2 once in a while. But then if they did watch this, they'd be like, whoa, that's me. But today, I'll talk about Ecclesiastes. It's a book in the Bible. It's my favorite book so far. I like Job. Job's alright. Where am I going? I'm going up this way, I think. Yes. I like Psalms and Proverbs. Reading the Old Testament in order. I remember I think the pastor at my old church was like, if you want to get people to be Christians, maybe you don't have them start at the beginning of the Old Testament. Maybe just have them start at the New Testament. I understand that thought because reading through the Old Testament, like, well, let me try to name all of them again because I want to try to do that. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth. Then it's 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings, 1st and 2nd Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah, Esther. Then Job, Psalm, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon. I think that's it. So everything up to Ezra and Nehemiah, they're basically just like a history book of the Israelites, and they were slaves. And Genesis is not really about that. It's more about Genesis and Exodus. The beginning of Exodus is like kind of saying like the beginning of all mankind, and then Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers is like just the Israelites. But yeah, I've talked about how I don't really like those, like the morality, or like how the feeling when you read those books, like it doesn't feel right, and I don't want to be like a person that like is like this or whatever. But once you get to what's called the wisdom books, which is Job, Psalms, Proverbs, and Ecclesiastes, that's when I'm like, oh, I think I understand why people like this Bible thing, because I like these books. Sometimes you read the Bible and you're like, what are people getting out of this? Like, why do they like this? I mean, I know the New Testament. I like the New Testament, and I like what Jesus says, and but there's those Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus are all rough. They're pretty hard to get through. They just make you feel sick in your stomach. I shouldn't say you. Me. Just me. I'm the weirdo. But I don't like those books. But I want to talk about Ecclesiastes because I really liked it. I even thought about making like a whole video, like a vlog video about Ecclesiastes. Like, oh, I found this book that nobody's ever heard of. It's called Ecclesiastes and it's really cool. Yeah. That's 3,000 years old. I think other people have heard of it by now. It's in the Bible. But I'm like, nobody ever talks about Ecclesiastes. I mean, I've been going to church my whole life, and I never really hear sermons about Ecclesiastes. The problem I was thinking, like, not the problem, but like the thing about Christianity is every sermon kind of has to point back to Jesus and be like hopeful, which is nice, but sometimes, like, I've been in the past 2 years, like, you're not in a hopeful Jesus-y mood. You don't want to hear about, oh, everything's great and Jesus loves you. Or the other end of that's like, oh, you're a terrible person and make sure you don't do bad stuff or you'll go to hell. Like, I don't want to hear about that when I'm depressed either. How do I get to the other side? I think I have to go up here somewhere. I've never heard a sermon just about Ecclesiastes. It's always been, oh, we'll mention a verse from Ecclesiastes and then be like, oh, but Jesus though. Christianity, it's a little frustrating. Christianity is like the but Jesus though thing. Everything kind of, it's I mean, it makes sense, but sometimes you just want to talk about like meaninglessness and be like, oh yeah, what if everything is meaningless? But then you gotta be like, but Jesus said it wasn't, and but what about Jesus? So Ecclesiastes is canonically attributed to Solomon, I think, but I'm sure he probably didn't write it. Who knows who wrote it? And I could play some excerpts like I did from Job if I want to. I don't know where I would start or anything, but okay, I have to go through this door here, right? I have to get over there. Don't remember how to do that. So the whole book is about meaninglessness. The first line is like, meaningless. Everything is meaningless. I'm like, oh, that, you know how to hook me. That's a good opener. So this king, Solomon, is basically talking about how things I've been thinking about recently, just like how everything is meaningless. Happiness is meaningless, sadness is meaningless, building things is meaningless, being a fool is meaningless, being wise is meaningless. We all die, nothing matters. 1,000 years from now, who cares? Nothing we do matters, there's no reason to do anything. He has this refrain of like, it's all chasing the wind. Everything is chasing the wind. It's just nothing. You're just not doing anything that makes any sense or matters at all. And he's like, I'm a king. I've had everything. I've had riches. I've had wives. I've had happiness, pleasure, anything you can want. It doesn't mean anything. I have a feeling I might be stuck here the entire episode, but that's okay. So I mean, I'm really connected a lot to what he was saying, and it really is so helpful for like a book like that to be in the Bible. And there's a chapter at the end that is like, oh well, the meaning is God or whatever. But and I read in Wikipedia that ending is kind of just, a lot of people think it was just written in at the end by like somebody else to be like, well, you need something. You can't just be all meaningless. Just be God-fearing. That's like the meaning of everything. It's pretty funny. The book is like, everything's meaningless, and then at the end he's like, in conclusion, What I meant to say was God is meaning or whatever. Like, what? I understand you can't have. I don't know. You could have a book that's just like meaningless. It's all meaningless. I just like that. I don't know. Shoot, I don't know where to go. I don't know how to do this. You have to get through. I have a lot more to say about it. There's a lot of. I'm gonna like read through it again. There's a lot of verses that are like interesting, and I want to understand what it's trying to say. But he says a lot. He says basically everything I'm thinking now. Like, he was like, people who are alive, people who are dead, it would be better to have never been born, to be stillborn, I think he says. What's the meaning of life? That's something I guess it's kind of a cliche thing to think about, and I don't like cliche stuff, so I don't think about it that way, I guess. But I mean, that is like, what's the meaning for my life? Why should I get up and do anything any day? Why should I do anything? What's the purpose of anything? And I kind of talked to that with the therapist a little bit, and I was able to ask her once, like, well, what's your meaning? Why do you do anything? And then she was like, well, what do you think? What do you think my meaning is? And I was like, well, I guess doing your job and like helping people. And she's kind of like, yeah. But what I told her is like, I feel like I know the answer. There is no meaning to life. It can't be. It can't be, right? And she's like, no, well, you just got to keep trying to find your meaning. And I guess I understand what she means. Am I recording? Okay. But Ecclesiastes is like, no, you're right. There is no meaning. And that makes me feel good. Like, oh, at least they say it in the Bible. Like, just admit it. And he's saying all the things like, even happiness is meaningless. Like, what does that mean? What does he says a line that I really liked. Like, laughter is bad or something. What was the... Laughter is madness. That's a good episode title. Laughter is madness. Being happy, you're just stupid. I don't know. Like, I'm gonna get to the hopeful part in a second, but just getting into this muck and like being like, bleh. It's meaningless. Yes. Thank you, Solomon. Just say all the bad stuff. Laughter is madness. Being happy, who cares? Helping people, what's the point? They're gonna be dead soon anyway, so what, you help them for a couple years. And I did want to mention, it's kind of ironic how the book of Ecclesiastes is the most meaningful book to me. Like, that's one thing that you could point to as kind of a hopeful thing. Hopeful about Ecclesiastes. Like, the point of Ecclesiastes isn't to, okay, just give up and yeah, life is meaningless, don't do anything. And part of me saying that is like, this book that was written 3,000 years ago can help me live a life, and if God exists, that's helpful. I don't know. It's kind of ironic that the book of Ecclesiastes is the most meaningful. And that's in that book. One of the lines is, I didn't know that this comes from Ecclesiastes, but he's like, there's nothing new under the sun. Like, any new thing you do is just whatever. You've never thought anything original. You've never done anything original. You're not smarter than anybody. But it's important to know that. It is important to know that and to understand, like, there's nothing new under the sun. It's kind of funny how they were even thinking about that back then. Because this is like one of the oldest books, and he's still being like, there's nothing new. You can't write anything that anybody else hasn't thought of already. And this is like the first book. I guess I have to stop there. Any other quick little ecclesiasticals notes? Nothing new under the sun. Laughter is madness. The heart of the wise is in the house of mourning. The heart of fools is in the house of pleasure. That's a line from it. Do not say, why were the old days better than these? I guess those are all my notes. Yeah. There's kind of a non sequitur thrown in there, but you hear that a lot, like, oh, the old days. Oh, I wish it were the old days. There's a line in Ecclesiastes where he's like, do not say, why were the old days better than these? That's nice. So if anybody ever says that to me, I can just throw that in their face. Solomon says you're not supposed to say that. I was reading the Wikipedia article about this book, and it's really interesting that people don't really know why it was included in the Bible. They're like, it doesn't really have the other main tenets of the Old Testament of like, oh, fear God. Have I been flickering all day? Sorry. Flicker, it's my blanket. That's not a face. A lot of people don't really understand why it was included because it's just very depressing and it's like doesn't really offer any meaning. Oh, I didn't even get to the whole point of the whole book. Being dead is better than being alive. No, that's not it. So this is it. This is why you shouldn't kill yourself, I guess. Sorry, I'm flickering. Don't do that. Why am I flickering? That's weird. I feel like this could be a whole other episode. I'm sorry. Maybe I should. Yeah, there's a cliffhanger. Tomorrow I'll start with that. Why you shouldn't kill yourself. Okay. And why I won't kill myself. I have a reason now. I don't think I had a reason before. But yeah. See you tomorrow. Bye.